Hello and welcome to Mexico for round 15 of the 2021 Formula Virtual World Championship. My name is Bradley Doughton and I'm joined today by Robert Mathershaw.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Today then, the drivers were tackling 53 laps of this 4.3 kilometre circuit, 17 turns here in Mexico City, and that fantastic stadium section at the end with the crowd that just light up the atmosphere. It was Nathaniel Powers who won here last season, and if he does that again today, he will be champion. The drivers can be wrapped up. In fact, it's probably quite likely it'll be wrapped up here today. Powers will be champion if he finishes in the top 7, or if teammate Klaas van Snelheid fails to win the race. It is that straightforward. Let's take a look at how they line up then. And it's Enrique Ruiz on pole position for Mathershaw Porsche. Marcus Thunder continues Lucas's recent strong form. He starts alongside from his first ever front row start. Klaas van Snelheid himself starts from 3rd. We'll need to overtake 2 cars to get to that first position. He needs Hunter Ryan, his and Ocelot's best start of the season, in 4th. Sergio Alvarez and Thierry Zylander was a brilliant session for Phoenix. The two of them, probably Phoenix's best ever qualifying, they line up together on row 3, ahead of Adrian Simon in 7th. And James Vasquez, again with his and Ingram's best qualifying of the season, starting from 8th. The two Franklins round out the top 10, Addison ahead of Danilo Farini, who's back inside the top 10 for the first time in 5 races. Will Hoskins starts from 11th, with Xander Benilton alongside him, the Norwegian, comfortably his best qualifying session. It's the first time he's got above 22nd. A great effort there from Benilton. Felix Perez starts from 13th behind his teammate Timo Kinnaman, the lead of the Westwoods, alongside him on row 7. Jules Barkley starts 15th, and he has the champion-elect alongside Nathaniel Powers. A shocking qualifying. Starts from 16th with a lot of work to do. Brock Kidd and Elroy Wagner line up behind them on row 9, while Puccio Giordano and Alar Kanga complete the top 20. Kanga's qualifying capping a really woeful session for Lopez, not what they need in their fight for 3rd with Franklin. Yukimi Takahashi completely outclassed by his teammate, he starts down in 21st, likewise John Matson, who goes from 22nd. Maximilian Thunstrom, hero to zero stuff for the Swede, the win last time out can't translate, he starts 23rd with Johan Halverson alongside him. And at the back of the grid, the two AMRs who missed the strategy deadline, Max Meyer, ahead of Finn Schneider. So as we go down to the grid then, it's Enrique Ruiz in pole position on the right, Marcus Thunder for Lucas alongside him on the front row. The lights go out now then, and we're racing in Mexico City. It looks like a slightly sluggish start from Ruiz. Klaas van Snelheid with a rocket ship from 3rd on the grid. He's already in between then. Marcus Thunder and Enrique Ruiz as they head down to turn 1. 3 abreast, absolutely wheel to wheel. We've got Hunter Ryan and Sergio Alvarez trying to come up behind them as well. And in fact, it's Marcus Thunder up the inside, but it's Ruiz then who holds the outside line and holds the lead. In fact, Thunder 2nd, and Klaas van Snelheid, despite his brilliant start, slips back to 3rd. Hunter Ryan holds on to 4th position then. Alvarez 5th, as Adrian Simon has jumped Thierry Zylander up into 6th as they head up to turn 4. Ruiz defending from Thunder, Klaas van Snelheid behind them. That is James Vasquez taking a look up the inside of Zylander as well.
Fast and frenetic stuff here, barely a moment to take a breath be there, Bradley. Ruiz on the outside of turn 1, 3 wide going in. Van Snelheid with a fantastic start, but Ruiz all the way around the outside. Unbelievable start to this race.
Absolute carbon copy of what we saw at this track in that other series a week ago. But it's Ruiz then leading here in Mexico on the opening lap. Marcus Thunder giving chase in 2nd. Klaas van Snelheid sits 3rd. Will be desperate to try and make up ground on the two in front of him. He needs this win if he's going to keep the championship open then. Meanwhile, as further back we see that's John Matson and Timo Kinnaman going wheel to wheel. Matson trying to move up into 17th place, and he does it. And a couple of places up the road, Powers has made 2 spots here on the opening lap. He's up to 14th.
Yeah, Powers not having the best of qualifying sessions, just making his way up slowly. Some lockups there into the stadium section. It's a bit of the track that's not used particularly often, so very dusty surface even with the running we've had so far. Marcus Thunder now right on the tail of Enrique Ruiz. Yeah, Thunder putting Ruiz under quite a bit of pressure then as we start lap 2. Klaas van Snelheid seems to have fallen off the pair of them slightly and is actually coming under attack from Hunter Ryan, as there we see Giordano trying to go around the outside of Brock Kidd, but that doesn't work. That's put him under pressure as behind him Barkley and Takahashi going to wheel, and Maximilian Thunstrom then coming through from the back row of the grid. It was a dismal qualifying for the Swedish driver, and he's now going to lose a place to Johan Halverson. And is he going to lose another one here around the outside from the AMR? No, he doesn't. But yeah, dismal qualifying for Thunstrom after that phenomenal win last time out. He ended up on the back row here in Mexico, just couldn't string it together. Yeah, unbelievable really for Maximilian Thunstrom, going from the feast of racing against Porsche and doubting the might of the front of the grid, and now really losing out to a North Star and racing with the AMRs at the back, who are absolutely in famine right now. But Marcus Thunder, the opposite almost, like bookending the grid almost with the two Lucas cars.
Yeah, they were, bar one car at each end, as Enrique Ruiz bangs in the fastest lap then, but Thunder still giving chase. Klaas van Snelheid we're kind of with them again now. They don't seem to have really spread out any further. As this is Adrian Simon coming under pressure then from Thierry Zylander, the Belgian, looks around the outside but isn't late enough on the brakes to make that done. As we behind, we've got both Franklins in first, all tangled up in one. It's Addison currently leading there, as Perez, I think, holding off a challenge from Danilo Farini.
Yeah, I think Addison there just turning into turn one. Perez got his nose on the inside, just a little bit of contact, doesn't look like any damage. Both of them continuing on. Looking at the front, as you say, Van Snelheid, a little bit of no man's land, but crucially for Hunter Ryan and Sergio Alvarez on the super soft tyre, they're going to have to make some moves right now if they're going to make up that time on this stint of the race, while Adrian Simon, with a little bit of clear air, having held off Thierry Zylander, who's also on the supers.
Yeah, very much so. I think actually Perez might have picked up just a touch of damage on his end plate, but we'll need a closer shot to see that. Yeah, I'm sure I caught something, but it could have been a trick of the camera.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that.
But yes, Enrique Ruiz still leading then, as he exits the stadium section at the end of lap 3. Marcus Thunder going with him, but it's another fastest lap for Ruiz. He is starting to stretch a bit of a gap slightly now then, as Thunder falling into the clutches of Klaas van Snelheid.
Yeah, just starting to eke away. The ideal situation for Enrique Ruiz here is for Marcus Thunder to fall into the clutches of Klaas van Snelheid. Of course, the Dutchman having to pull out all the stops for a victory or nothing else today will be acceptable for the Dutchman.
Here we go. Yeah, sorry, that was Hoskins looking to the inside of Farini at turn 1. That wasn't going to work. Farini was able to hold the outside line and hold 11th position.
Yeah, really close racing from both first and both of the Franklin cars. It's well matched down the straights and indeed into the corners, so it's going to be really interesting. I don't know whether Enrique Ruiz has just made a bit of a mistake there. Marcus Thunder a bit closer, and with the concertina effect, Klaas van Snelheid now right on the tail of the two of them, really.
Yeah, good point. And I think the fact that Ryan Alvarez and Zylander are on the super softs is helping them, because we've got a train from Ruiz in the lead all the way down to Zylander in 7th place then. So looks pretty.
Yeah.
We don't see this too often, do we?
No,
at least not at the head of the field.
Well, no, Enrique Ruiz really being a bit of a roadblock. I'm not sure there are many times in his career that Ruiz has been called that, but it's absolutely happening here. So
he'll have been called a few things, but probably not a roadblock.
No, there are lots of things that probably of a similar length, but not quite. 5 laps in.
Oh, I tell you what, Marcus Thunder is right in the slipstream of Ruiz here, and looks like he's got a mega run. Ruiz covers the inside line. Marcus Thunder goes to the outside of turn 1, can't quite do it, and tucks back in behind the Brazilian.
Yeah, huge slipstream. It looks like, because we've got the Porsche and the Downton engines at the front. I think 2 of the engines that are widely regarded as some of the best on the grid. And Thunder in the toe of the Porsche there, really looking like he's going to put the Brazilian under pressure for the next few laps.
Absolutely is. Interestingly, slightly further back in 14th position, Nathaniel Powers has made no further progress since the opening lap and has been stuck since then behind Xander Benilton in the Arrow.
Yeah, Benilton with a brilliant qualifying session to get 12th position on the same tyre, the super soft, as Powers. But yeah, the world champion in waiting, I think it's fair to say, on the basis of recent form. Not really making any headway at all, is he?
No, not at all. Interesting to note as well, the first mixing it with the Franklins. The first pair are on the mediums and the Franklins on the softs, which could be hindering. That's probably what's hindering Powers' progress, in fairness. Benilton, despite the tyre advantage, does not have a car quick enough to get past, and Powers on the same tyre is probably struggling to really make any headway.
That is a very good point. Anything that means that he's going to get past Brynildson is just putting himself at risk of losing the front wing with Will Hoskins. We've got who's that? Is that Farini?
That's Vasquez coming under pressure from Addison. Yeah, so but Addison can't do it.
Vasquez about 7.5 seconds off the race leader Enrique Ruiz after 5 full racing laps. That's after the extended gap that was caused by the start of the race with everybody coming off the line. It looks like it's about a second a lap between the soft and the medium that Vasquez is on. So That's going to be a really interesting one to see what that pit stop differential actually yields in terms of a result for Vasquez.
Yeah, certainly will be. He seems to be losing a significant chunk of time at the moment, doesn't he, as we see the two Lopez cars battling, and that is Elroy Wagner defending from Al Arkanga in 15th and 16th position. The pair of them, what tyres are they on?
So
Wagner
we
on
have
softs and Kanga on supers.
Yes,
that's not working at all.
No, that's not working at all. And Elroy Wagner in one of the final races of his Formula Virtual career, very much that he needs to stay ahead of his teammate. Got a yellow flag in sector.
Oh, that's Sergio Alvarez. Sergio Alvarez is round at the final corner and has caused chaos. Then there are cars everywhere. What that has done, look how that's helped Nathaniel Powers.
Well, there you go, into 10th position, and we've got cars all over the start-finish straight. But yeah, Powers
absolutely
in 10th position and getting a point.
Look at them there. We've got 2, 3, nearly 4 wide at one point. I mean, that's going to go wrong at some point, isn't it?
Oh, I'm waiting for the big one, NASCAR style here. That is absolutely extraordinary scenes.
Yes, that's Kanga getting past his teammate then. So finally able to jump Elroy Wagner super soft against the soft tyres. Brock Kidd in that battle as well, which isn't something we've said too often. And look at that, Kidd launches up the inside of John Matson. That was late on the brakes. That was brilliant. Can he hold it around the outside to take the position? No, he can't.
Oh, what a move from Brock Kidd. Doesn't quite work out because they had Elroy Wagner in front. That meant that he couldn't actually take advantage of how late he braked. He had to almost slow down excessively there. We've got one of the Westwoods going round the outside of Yukumi Takahashi there, Jules Barclay.
Yeah, here we go then. This is the replay. On board with Alvarez. Just took too much curb on the inside, lost it, and Simon without a front wing as well. Adrian Simon, then we missed that. We came in too late to that one, but Adrian Simon has also lost his front wing in that collision.
Yeah, disaster there for the Frenchman. We saw that Thierry Zylander on the timing screen had just got passed as a result of the incident, but right, Simon now in the pits.
Here we go, on board with Thunder, but no, sorry, can't do that one.
No, not quite. Simon plummeting all the way, but Alvarez now in the pits as well. It's usually about 11 or 12 seconds, isn't it, to change the front wing? 11 and a half yet for Adrian Simon there. So now right at the tail of the field, but you'd expect him to be ahead of Alvarez, but not really any further up.
Yes, Thunder took another look up the inside of Ruiz there. This should give us a good idea of the pit stop delta. About 3 seconds for a stop, so if we knock, 8 off of that, that's going to be about a 21 second pit delta?
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. So already we're looking at the leaders if they were to pit right now, right with Maximilian Sundstrom. But of course, with more time to go before the soft-tired runners, at the very least, we expect them to pit. Possibly a 3-stop strategy, so looking around the 14-15 lap mark for a stint.
Yeah, and I think the big thing you got to note is that there's now already 12 seconds back to Vasquez in 6th place. I mean, that is opening up hugely. Thierry Zylander, just 8 laps into this race, is already on his own.
Yeah, Zylander wondering where everybody went following the incident involving his teammate, but I don't think there's going to be any complaints from the Belgian.
Well, certainly not sat in 5th place, there won't be. And that's, I'll tell you what, that's something that Franklin are going to desperately need with the teams around them in the championship. Ocelot and Ingram sat in front and behind them in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. So thinking about that battle for 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship, as we see, not quite. I thought that we were going to get Addison finally making his way past James Vasquez, but that battle for 2nd in the championship, the Porsche Challenge at the moment looking the strongest, but we've just seen Adrian Simon removed from proceedings unceremoniously.
Oh, sorry, that's Powers. That's Powers up the inside of Felix Bresnan. He's now on the outside line, but on the super softs compared to the mediums. But no, Powers, despite the traction advantage, cannot get that one done.
Wow, I think that we're seeing once again, the first looks like it's a handy race car around here. Powers, you'd expect with that 2-step tyre differential to really be experiencing a bit of an advantage, but I suppose as we're coming towards what we would have to say is the latter stages of the super soft tyred run, maybe there's just lacking that outright grip, and it's a bit of a difficult day for Nathaniel Powers. Once again, he's had, actually bearing in mind the position he is in the championship, a number of difficult races lately.
He has, yeah. It's he went from an incredibly comfortable championship position where, I mean, he could have won the title, like, what was it, 3 races ago?
Yeah, in Monza, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's the fact that it's still going on is quite remarkable. Looks fairly comfortable, but he's probably going to wrap it up here today. Obviously, he needs, for Powers to win it today, he needs to either finish in the top 7 or have his teammate not win the race. And I think one of those is surely going to happen, as that is Barkley and Kinnaman going side by side, and Barkley actually had the inside line to turn 1, turned it to the outside of turn 2, and Barkley's taken that position.
Great move from the Canadian. It's been a bit of a difficult season for Jules Barkley, but yeah, that's a fantastic move, proving his worth in that westward. Going back to what you're saying about Powers, though, I think that we're looking at the epitome of Nathaniel Powers' attitude to going racing. He's been banking the points consistently whenever he can get them, in the full knowledge that if something goes wrong, he's going to be in that comfortable position, and that's exactly what we've seen. It's that early stages of the season, taking advantage of what he can when it's there, which means that, yeah, things go wrong, but actually Nathaniel Powers still not really that uncomfortable despite having a dismal run of form.
No, absolutely. He went into this race with a 45-point advantage, and there are only 50 on offer, including this one. So, yeah, it looks pretty good. But that's Thunder. Marcus Thunder down the inside of Ruiz. Can he do what Barkley did on his teammate? Round the outside of turn 2, he can! Marcus Thunder takes the lead in Mexico!
That is unbelievable. Marcus Thunder, we saw at the last round Maximilian Thunstrom making absolutely fantastic moves. But Marcus Thunder at one point...
And Ruiz now covering. I wonder if that's going to leave Klaas van Snelheid open to Hunter Ryan attack. It's not, no. But Ruiz suddenly looks really slow.
Yeah, it looks like the rear end of that Porsche is starting to struggle as on their aging soft tyre. Looks like every time he comes into a traction zone, he puts down the throttle and it just starts to get a little bit squirrely on him. So, to be honest, that pit stop can't come soon enough for Ruiz, but of course he's got to get far enough into the race on that set of tyres to mean that they don't lose out to the super soft runners in terms of the number of pit stops they have to make.
Well, absolutely. We've not even seen, as you say, the super soft runners pit yet. So we expect it will be a while until we see the race leaders in then. But it is now Marcus Thunder up front. Lucas lead a race for the second time in 2 rounds. And there was a front wing in the wall there at the final corner. And I saw a yellow flag. And Max Mayer's now at the back of the field. So I wonder... I'm going to put 2 and 2 together here.
Yeah, and I think you've got the 26th place driver as your answer. I think you're absolutely right. I think Mayer has had an issue at the final corner. With Lucas, is it not? Oh, as we've got Addison finally making that move on Vasquez.
Yeah, Addison looking down the inside of Vasquez once again, and this time he's managed to get the move done before turn 1. Vasquez is going to try and come back at him, but he's just not going to have the pace around the outside there to re-attack Nick Addison. And finally, the Australian moves past the Colombian and up into 6th.
Yeah, good move from Addison. Think about Lucas. Did they not lead with Thunstrom at one point in the Canadian V-Prix as well? So is it not 3 in a row?
Oh, they might have done. As indeed, there we see 2 plus 2 did equal 4. Mayer into the pits.
Absolutely. Shame for Mayer, but we've got both AMRs in the race, so that's always a bonus.
It is. They are guaranteed to race at the moment due to their championship position.
Well, that just shows how good a season they've been having, doesn't it?
It does indeed. Far better than previous years, where they've obviously struggled to pick up points and indeed make races. Yes, far better performance from AMR this season.
Yeah, looking... Oh, that's a big lock up there. Who was that? That was behind... That was Xander Brynildsen, and Nathaniel Powers would have been looking in his rear view, or in his wing mirrors there. See that puff of smoke and his life will have flashed before his eyes as Brynildsen very nearly took the World Championship leader out.
He did indeed. I've kind of completely somehow missed this until... Brynildsen's in the points! Brynildsen's attacking Powers! Look at this, Xander Brynildsen right in the wheel tracks, and Nathaniel Powers, he pulls out down the inside. Can Brynildsen get this done? He's not quite going to have the outside line for turn 2. That was about to be incredible.
They're on the same tyre. That arrow is absolutely flying.
We saw that in Indianapolis though. Takahashi was actually had really good pace, and in a race with very few retirements and incidents, came home. Was it 12th? I think, only just outside the points.
Yeah, no, the arrow looks like it's really finishing the 2021 season on a high note, and I'm hoping for them that they can just take advantage and get a couple of points and get the results that their pace really does warrant. Yeah,
absolutely. They'll absolutely take the points, I'm sure. Although the team in front of them in the constructors is some way ahead. I think it might actually be AMR on 12 points. So they'd have to have a fairly hefty score if they're going to gain anything. But more points are always a bonus and solidify their position at least ahead of North Star. As Thierry Zylander's in the pits. Then we've not seen it on screen, but Zylander is in the pits, and that's the first of the super soft runners.
Right, so I think that's going to be just about a 3-stop strategy, isn't it, for the super softs, which means that if the differentials are what we usually expect, it's going to be 2 stops for the softs and 1 for the mediums.
Absolutely. There it is then, a fairly clean stop for Zylander. Was that 3.8 seconds?
Yes, I believe it was. Yes, it
we've
is.
got Benilton and Powers in as well. Then Powers 3.7 from Downton, same from Arrow, and Powers is out ahead of Xander Benilton and out into some beautifully clear air. As long as he can get ahead of Sergio Alvarez, and he does indeed.
Absolutely. Alarcanga with the Lopez pit crew there, 3.5 seconds, and made up a bit of time over everybody else that pitted at the same time. So great work from the Lopez pit crew.
Yeah, 4.6 second stop for Thunstrom. I think he got held slightly in the pits, having everyone else sort of leaving their stops as he was waiting to leave his, shall we say. So Thunstrom lost a second or so there, but is now ahead of Yukimi Takahashi and Finn Schneider.
Absolutely. Hunter Ryan will now come in, having gone that extra lap from 4th positions. That's a pretty big move from Ryan. I don't think it's necessarily going to be enough to reduce the number of stops, but what it will mean is that last shorter stint on the super soft tyre will be shorter, which means that he'll be able to extract a little bit more pace in one go out of the tyre.
Absolutely. It's also giving him that extra lap to try and pull a bit of a gap on cars behind. So where did Zylander come out? He's just behind Barkley and Kinnaman. Hunter Ryan is, in fairness, he was much further up the road anyway, but Hunter Ryan has come out. He's not really come out in free air, has he?
I think that net Zylander's gained about 2 or 3 seconds there on Ryan by performing the undercut. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's still not too bad for Ryan if he can use that 2.7 seconds of clear air he's got up until he gets to the back of Elroy Wagner, who is only on the soft tyre, so shouldn't hold him up too much. That Lopez has had flashes of pace throughout the year, but yeah, Hunter Ryan on for a good performance today by the look of it.
Yeah, he certainly seems so. It was a brilliant first stint from Ryan, admittedly on a tyre that was 1 step softer, but he was sticking with the top 3, and that'll be pleasing for Ocelot, given they've had a bit of a rough year, I think, compared to what they expected.
Yeah, absolutely. Marcus Thunder at the lead as they start lap 16 of the Mexican V-Prix. Enrique Ruiz still only half a second behind, but not making any inroads. And Klaas van Snelheid, at this point, you think that he's probably just biding his time, thinking that once Thunder and Ruiz do get a bit close to each other, they will hold each other up and there could be contact. So Van Snelheid, he is in a must-win situation, we know that. But I also think he's going to be playing a bit of a smart game, because there's no point rushing in like a bull in a china shop and ending his chances early. No,
absolutely. As Nathaniel Powers bangs in the fastest lap on those fresh super softs and in a bit of clear air, you very much get the impression that Van Snelheid's playing the long game here, isn't he? He's playing for the under or overcut, really.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he's clearly got a fast car underneath him, but he's clearly got 2 cars that he is battling for the race win with as well that are quick. So yeah, playing the percentages. There's no point when you're less than a third of the way through the race to start making those moves now, when you can just be in position, just wait, bide your time and see what happens.
Absolutely. And since Ruiz's sort of rough lap where he lost the lead and seemed to drop off, he's recovered that, and as you say, right back now with Marcus Thunder is on board with Hunter Ryan around the outside of the departing Elroy Wagner, and that was a lovely move into the stadium section.
Yeah, that was from Hunter Ryan there. I think that was there's the door and don't let it hit your backside on the way out there for Elroy Wagner. They're taking no prisoners around the outside into the stadium section.
Absolutely not. Beautiful driving then from the Australian as he fights his way back through the field, having made his first pit stop. Might be a slightly trickier challenge up next. He's got Farini and the 2 firsts on medium tyres. Although fresh super softs might aid him. We'll have to see how he fares when he gets there then. But they're still stuck behind James Vasquez then.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking a little bit further down the order, 2 of the perennial backmarkers there. Adrian Simon in 17th with Powers in 18th. Obviously, Powers a pit stop ahead in terms of the strategy curve. But so Adrian Simon half a minute off the lead. So it's not a catastrophic issue there if you can maintain the pace compared to Enrique Ruiz, his teammate. We've seen that we've got Wagner on the same tyre now, 21 seconds off. So Simon, it'll be interesting to see what he can salvage, but you think Nathaniel Powers is certainly going to get the points that he needs, if not. So even if he doesn't end up having to rely on Van Snelheid not winning, I think he's surely in a position to get those minor placings that he needs to clinch the championship.
Yeah, you'd imagine so. I mean, I think just even starting 16th, I think we'd all expect Powers to make it up to at least 7th. As that was Ruiz taking a look for the lead then, but Thunder held it on the outside of turn 1. And yeah, actually, to be fair, it might not work out too badly for Adrian Simon. He's on the softs, isn't he?
Yes.
So it's going to depend when these guys come in, really, isn't it? And we work out how long a soft stint is. Because it may be the case that actually that hasn't really harmed Simon's race too much.
I can't remember when he...
Was it about lap 8?
It was around there, wasn't it? So yeah, as you say, if that final stint would be 8 laps anyway, then ultimately nothing massively lost. But even if he does have to make that extra stop...
Sorry, I'm just going to cut across you because Thunder was a bit off through the middle sector. And Enrique Ruiz round the outside then. He's seen what Hunter Ryan's done and he's copied it. And Enrique Ruiz takes back the lead.
What an incredible move there. Enrique Ruiz taking the lead as Mexican V-Prix. But we saw there, Van Snelheid within 0.3 of a second of the leader.
They're all in.
And they're
all in. All 3 of them from 1st, 2nd and 3rd in the race have dived into the pit lane then. And Thunder has a really early pit garage and that could help him massively here.
Yeah, that's good. So Thunder, of course, kind of come out, which might mean that he may... Oh, I think Ruiz is going to get out.
Oh, he had to wait. Ruiz had to wait, and that's allowed class through as well. Enrique Ruiz then, having just taken back the lead here in Mexico, has lost out. Marcus Thunder leaves the pits at the head of that little train. Klaas Van Snelheid 2nd, and Ruiz has slipped to 3rd then, but it's James Vasquez who goes through to lead the Mexican V-Prix.
Unbelievable. The pit lane's a very oblique angle to rejoin the fast lane, and Ruiz held up twice there in quick succession. That's going to be something that even if he does make his way back to the front, he's going to have to deal with that every time. We did have a rather significant yellow flag period in Sector 3. I don't know whether or not somebody's had an issue in the final corner, so that's something we'll have to keep an eye out for. But Enrique Ruiz only lost 1.5 seconds probably to Marcus Thunder, but in the context of how close this race has been so far, significant time loss, and he's going to have to hopefully take advantage of the fact that Will Hoskins on the medium tyre is in front of both Thunder and Van Snelheid.
Well, I was going to say, actually, I think Ruiz lost a shed ton more than that. But Hoskins has been so slow on Thunder's outlap. Klaas Van Snelheid! Van Snelheid down the inside of Marcus Thunder then. And Van Snelheid has seen his chance and he's gone for it. Into the stadium section, wheel to wheel with Marcus Thunder. Can't quite get that one done. But look at that, Ruiz is back with them. What I was going to say, as they exited the pits, Van Snelheid was probably 2 seconds behind Thunder, with Ruiz a further 2 seconds back. At the end of just 1 lap stuck behind Hoskins, they're all nose to tail again.
Yeah, I think that's it's unbelievable racing once again from Formula Virtual. Looking at the pit time, so it was 18 laps. I think that's going to leave 15 or 16 laps for that final stint there. So I think Adrian Simon will be having an extra stop added overall. But yeah, wow, just unbelievable.
Unfortunate for then Adrian Simon as Marcus Thunder up the inside of Will Hoskins as he finally got that move done. He's going to go round the outside as they go through that awkward left-right. There's another double right. He's still on the outside line. Marcus Thunder, he can't quite get it done. Will Hoskins comes back at him, but Thunder will have the inside line and surely will move up to 4th position, and he does. And Will Hoskins then will now sit as a roadblock behind him through this middle sector, and Thunder will look to pull this gap on the chasing pair.
Yeah, that's a significant moment for the narrative of this race. Marcus Thunder, as you say, able to now just disappear down the road.
Contact! Klaas Van Snelheid hits the back of Will Hoskins. I think he might have just got away with that, but he doesn't need to do that.
Oh, wow, we've said all along that Van Snelheid's going to be sitting there, biding his time, waiting for the right moment without forcing the issue. And all of a sudden, he rear-ends Will Hoskins. I didn't see any significant damage to either car, but yeah, the Dutchman, you can see that he's just starting to see this race and indeed his championship hopes fading even further than it already has done.
That was incredibly lucky for Klaas Van Snelheid to not lose his front wing there, as now around the outside of Will Hoskins at turn 1, he doesn't get it done. He went in far too hot and about braked himself and couldn't get the car turned in time. He just about avoided the runoff, but Will Hoskins managed to hold on to 5th place. And look at the time they're losing to Thunder. They're 3 seconds back.
Oh, this is absolute dreamland for Marcus Thunder and Lucas V-Prix once more. But yeah, Van Snelheid and Ruiz having significant difficulties getting past Hoskins. They really need to get it done now or never if they have any chance of getting up towards the back of Thunder and taking the lead again.
fresh tyres seem to be worth so much time here in Mexico today then, as Hunter Ryan onto the back of James Vasquez and Felix Perez already. But look at that, bearing in mind, Ryan was on the back of Thunder, Van Schnellheid and Ruiz when he pitted. And
it's gone.
Yeah.
It's absolutely gone. And
that advantage has just vanished.
The new tyres are so significant that the pace drop off from lap to lap is significant enough that while Thunder managed to get past Hoskins really quickly, it's now getting harder and harder every lap for Van Schnellheid and Ruiz to get past Hoskins. So it's just an issue that's compounding itself over and over again for Downton and Porsche to get them past Hoskins in that
5 seconds now, the gap. 5 seconds between Thunder and Van Schnellheid. But I think Klaas is through. Klaas, Van Schnellheid has gone up. No, Hoskins has come back at him. They're wheel to wheel. You can see them in the background. Here we go then. Klaas, Van Schnellheid. I think he's finally got the move done. Is Ruiz going to sneak through as well then? Hoskins is covering the inside line. Sits, moves across. And I think, yeah, Klaas has gone through. Ruiz stuck behind Will Hoskins still.
Oh, it's a shame for the race, I think, that we've got the three leaders now spread out, and I think that they're going to continue to be spread out, and Ruiz and Van Schnellheid will be split up by the fact that Hoskins is there in the way. Well, he's perfectly entitled to, of course, it's his race as well, but Ruiz really struggling to get past, but it's going to be really interesting now. Can Klaas Van Schnellheid put the hammer down and get right onto the back of Marcus Thunder? It's a 6.6 second gap. But now Thunder behind Ryan on those slightly older super softs. But you'd think he'll be getting out of the way quickly enough with just leaving Vasquez and Perez on the mediums to act as another barrier to progress.
Well, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? Hoskins on those mediums has been slow enough that Van Schnellheid and Ruiz have lost 6 seconds in a couple of laps. Well, Thunder's now up behind 2 cars on mediums who are battling as Felix Perez goes around the outside of James Vasquez but can't make the move. And a car on the super soft stuck behind them and warm super softs. So Thunder's now going to be losing time. Klaas Van Schnellheid, with free track in front of him, is going to reel this quartet in at a rate of knots you'd expect. And indeed, he's only now 5.5 seconds off the lead.
Absolutely. Critically there, Ruiz got past Hoskins very briefly, but it looks like the Brit is now back ahead again. So Ruiz, with this block for Marcus Thunder and Van Schnellheid closing in, Ruiz, it's even more crucial now that he makes this move because this block is going to disappear relatively shortly. You would have thought with the medium-tired runners making their pit stops, or indeed if somebody like Hunter Ryan can make that move and open up the gap for Thunder as well.
Absolutely. Perez was slightly offline there through the middle sector then and through the sweepers, but Ryan couldn't take advantage. Perez placed his car very, very nicely then into that right-hander before the stadium section. And as we say, yeah, Ryan unable to make the move, but surely he's going to have a run now down the start-finish straight. What it has done is given Vasquez a bit of an advantage up front. James Vasquez, I bet he never expected to be leading a race here today.
No, Vasquez absolutely flying here. Was extraordinarily quick at Daytona last
There we go, sorry, I think this is Ryan. He's down the inside, the outside of turn 2. We've seen it a few times and Ryan pulls it off again. Hunter Ryan up into second place, past Felix Perez. Marcus Thunder will now be looking to follow him through very, very swiftly, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. All the while, Klaas Van Schnellheid is reeling him in. The gap's 1.5 seconds as behind Ruiz. Finally, up the inside of Will Hoskins. Is Hoskins going to come back at him? No, he's not. Ruiz slams the door in his face and goes, thank God for that.
I can't help but think the damage has been done for Enrique Ruiz there, now that things seem to be opening up a little bit more at the front. But we've got a very good battle once again between Thunder and Van Schnellheid. So I think Van Schnellheid licking his lips at the prospect of trying to get his teeth into this one.
Certainly will be, as there we see Nick Addison is the next driver to attack Will Hoskins, and in fact, hang on, Addison's on the softs, isn't he?
Addison is on the softs.
So Addison's brought himself right into play here.
Addison hasn't had the issue of being blocked, has he? So Puccio Giordano behind is on the medium, so he must have got past him in pretty short order. Adrian Seymour also on the softs. Yeah, so I think Addison has very much benefited as well from the fact that everybody has been blocked a little bit, particularly Enrique Ruiz. So if you can get past Hoskins quite quickly here, he's made up an awful lot of time. Absolutely, but you're already seeing how much Hoskins has been holding cars up. Ruiz already 2 seconds up the road then from the British driver, as James Vasquez up front has been caught by Hunter Ryan. We could see some really unexpected leaders here today in Mexico. We've already had Vasquez. Can Hunter Ryan have a go at the front? Yeah, all I can say is thank goodness for the scorekeepers and the people that do the championship tables. We do not give a point for leading a lap here. This is everyone's getting a go.
Oh, absolutely. As oh no, actually, Hunter Ryan might not, because I think he'll be in fairly soon, won't he?
You would have thought it would be within maybe 5 or 6, well, 4 or 5 laps. That would get them to it would get them well in within the halfway mark. Interestingly, Thunder still boxed up behind Perez. Van Snelheid right there. Ruiz needs to make up another 3 seconds to bring them back nose to tail. So the sooner that these medium-tired runners pit, the better for the two at the head of, who were at the head of the field. Enrique Ruiz, on the other hand, hoping that medium tyre can go an awfully long way.
Absolutely, in fairness, I don't think he needs it to go a long way. I think another 2 laps and Ruiz will be right back with them as Vasquez defends the inside line. Hunter Ryan is going to sweep around the outside of turn 1, is he? Not quite. Nope. Vasquez just lets his car drift out to the outside and Ryan has to back out of it then. And James Vasquez holds on to the lead, but now Ryan, Perez, Thunder and Van Snelheid right up behind him. And
Absolutely.
now Ryan goes now, late on the brakes, Hunter Ryan to the inside. He's going to hold the outside line around James Vasquez. Can he do it? No, he can't. Vasquez squeezes him out again.
Oh, Vasquez defensive driving there, absolutely awesome. Adrian Simon making his second pit stop of the race to fall all the way back down to 23rd position. So, bit of a shame there for Adrian Simon. But now, as you say, Enrique Ruiz now only 3 seconds off the lead in 6th, catching Van Snelheid and Thunder. I think we're gonna have a train of 6.
This is it, isn't it? This is it for Hunter Ryan. Vasquez was offline and took the inside line into that right-hander. Hunter Ryan sweeps around the outside, and Hunter Ryan takes the lead for Ocelot.
Absolutely.
You watch, he'll pit.
No, I think he's got another 2 laps before he's going to pit, if not 3, because he went a lap longer. So he's going to get credited with leading a lap. We've got yet another lead change.
Hunter Ryan then now leads here in Mexico. James Vasquez slips to 2nd as Perez 3rd, which means Marcus Thunder, Klaas Van Snelheid are still 4th and 5th. Enrique Ruiz closing all the time. He's now only a second back. He's at the end of this lap, he'll be with them, and that's it. The advantage gone.
And we've got pit stops here from the are they the Super Soft runners?
It is the Super Soft runners, yes. So the Super Soft runners in for their second stops then.
Yeah, so right around the halfway stage of the race. And so one thing to note as well is that if we've had these medium-tired runners coming to play halfway through the race without stopping, once you take into account the fact that everyone else is halfway through their kind of the phases of their strategy, I think we're going to see exactly the same thing here at the end of the race. It's just going to be a question of who can get to the front.
Yeah, very much so. Interestingly, Powers has gone a lap longer on his Super Softs, having been slightly further up the field.
Yeah, interesting there. Powers, I don't know whether because he's a little bit more boxed in, hemmed in behind behind Hoskins at the moment. I don't know whether he's just managed to save a bit of tyre and see how that can go for him, but impressive once again.
What happened to Zylander? As now Hunter Ryan dives in then.
What did happen? Oh, Zylander got held in the pit lane, didn't? No, I don't know actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's gone on with Thierry Zylander's race, but Perez pitted.
Oh,
Perez on the mediums then. Perez dives in and clears himself out of the way of the leaders who are now absolutely nose to tail. Marcus Thunder covers the inside. Klaas Van Snelheid round the outside. Can he make that one work? Surely Thunder's going to hold it. Indeed he does. Ruiz right with them, looking to take advantage.
Wow, absolutely fantastic from Van Snelheid, but great defence from Thunder. And if we had the 3rd place man of Van Snelheid at the time covering off and just waiting for something to happen, we know that we've got 3 drivers who are going to get themselves well and truly stuck into this battle for what will be the net lead once James Vasquez pits. But you have to say, Vasquez, I think he's driven himself right into contention here.
He absolutely has, and of course that's assuming Vasquez does pit. He might just be enjoying himself so much up front, he forgets.
Well, yeah, as I say, he was in absolutely monumental form at Daytona Beach for the test week for the virtual 24-hour, and his form seems to be continuing in an impressive manner today.
I'll tell you what, Vasquez could come out quite nicely here, couldn't he? In fact, I think he will. I think he'll rejoin in 10th position.
Yes, and
which, bearing in mind he won't need to stop again, that's going to be phenomenal for Vasquez, and indeed in he comes then. That hands Marcus Thunder back the lead. What we'll have to watch is where Vasquez is going to come out and what his times are compared to the leaders. James Vasquez could bring himself right into play here.
Yeah, I think we've got to say that Vasquez is well and truly in with a shout. I think by the end of the race, he might well be in the race lead.
3.4, it's a great stop.
Oh, it's an awesome stop from the Ingram team there. Brilliant. Everything executed to perfection in this first half of the race there for Vasquez and Ingram. So I think he might end up in the lead of this race in the latter stages. And it's just going to be a question of whether or not he can keep everyone behind.
No, Vasquez has been done by Perez then. Perez pitting a lap earlier has undercut James Vasquez, and Vasquez has lost out there, and he's just going to slip behind Kidd as well, which is going to cost him time.
Oh, it's unlucky there from Vasquez. The Ingram team did everything they could except pit him on the right lap to get him the advantage over Perez. But yeah, so Perez and Vasquez, both drivers now, I think, well and truly in the mix. Yeah, Perez then, he's been blindingly quick as we see the two Phoenix cars, Powers and Simon side by side. That's Nathaniel Powers trying to go up the inside, and that's brave, but he is down in 15th at the moment. His teammate is right in contention for the win, so he probably does actually need to get a bit of a shift on Nathaniel Powers. But yeah, Perez then, blindingly quick in Canada, should have won the race, threw it away. Blindingly quick in Indianapolis, should have won the race, threw it away. He hasn't been blindingly quick here, but he's been on the medium tyres, but Perez could still be in with a shout of the win. Yeah, maybe the key to success for Perez is to force him to think about it a bit more on the hard compound tyre, and because he still delivers the goods, doesn't he? But
it seems to be
0.4 of a second ahead of Klaus Van Schnellheid, not seeming to move much, but Ruiz right behind there, just stalking his prey. Meanwhile, Addison, I don't know what I'm looking at there.
Yeah, that's Vasquez on Kidd, so he's not going to be stuck behind him. Vasquez straight back through.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that either of them was Nick Addison, but we'll move on from that.
It's all right, no one noticed.
I certainly didn't, did I? Oh wow, is that the two Westwoods getting a bit spicy with each other there, Kinnaman and Barclay?
Yeah, Kinnaman has found himself back ahead of his young Canadian teammate. Barclay trying to do what he did on Kinnaman earlier and go around the outside of turn 2, but he was nowhere near close enough by the end of the straight. And Barclay suddenly losing quite a lot of pace down that second straight. I wonder if there's... maybe not.
Well, I wonder if we're about to see a Porsche engine expire.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Probably won't be the last either.
As here we see, this is Danilo Ferrini then, in 5th place. And I'll tell you what, if we think the three leaders there, Nick Addison is only 3 seconds further back. There's a massive gap between him and teammate Ferrini.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at there's so much to look at. I don't know where to go next.
No, cracking race we've had so far then. In fact, there's only just over 20 laps left. It's absolutely flown by here so far in Mexico. We've got Marcus Thunder leading then, just after 30 laps, as Alar Kanga bangs in the fastest lap on the, I think, super soft tyres.
Certainly is.
Yeah, there we go. Thunder leads from Klaus Van Schnellheid, who needs to win this race, let's not forget, to keep his championship hopes alive. They are exceedingly slim, but, well, while there's a possibility, he's got to go for it, but he's going to have to get past the man he replaced at Downton, and I'm sure Thunder's not going to want to give that one up too easily.
No, absolutely. And to be fair to Nathaniel Powers, he's holding up his end of the bargain for this championship battle to probably continue on for a bit further. So if Klaus Van Schnellheid can do his bit, then actually we might well be carrying on for another race.
Yeah, Powers has been ridiculously doing his best to prolong winning it, hasn't he?
Yeah, I think he likes the idea of being the future world champion again, which is strange because he's also the current and defending and past, and he's won it more than anybody else, hasn't he, really? So if anyone knows how to close out a championship, it is Nathaniel Powers, but...
Yes, although at some points in this latter half of the season, it has looked like he might need a lesson.
No, absolutely.
But yeah, there we see then Nathaniel Powers, who needs to work his way up to 7th, at least, to guarantee the title, regardless of what his teammate does. Currently sat in 15th, behind a train of cars, but that is Thierry Zylander looking for a way past Johan Halvorsen. That's for 11th place then. Zylander is going to put himself on the outside line. Surely, with better tyres, he can... No, he can't.
No, well and truly denied there for Thierry Zylander. Johan Halvorsen not really taking no for an answer. He's going to keep the position whether he likes it or not.
Absolutely. Zylander looks again then up the inside. I think Simon got past Alvarez behind him as well. Alvarez now coming back at him, but Zylander once again is pushed out by Johan Halvorsen and cannot get the move done. And look at this train from Johan Halvorsen in 11th all the way back to Thunstrom, Maximilian Thunstrom in 20th. And Will Hoskins is stuck in this as well.
Yeah, Hoskins Hoskins had a pretty decent start to the Mexican V-Prix, but it's just kind of plummeted a little bit ever since.
Oh, sums up his season, doesn't it, really?
Well, absolutely.
Actually, in fairness, maybe not, because his season's pretty much been categorised by a shocking qualifying.
Absolutely, particularly with rumours of his future as to where he is going to go now that he's definitely being replaced at first.
Hasn't he already been announced at Franklin?
Has he?
I'm sure I saw something.
I certainly knew that there were rumours that the British team were for him to make a triumphant return. However, I have not been watching the news particularly closely, I must admit, lately. But Thierry Zylander in for another pit stop on lap 30, well, finishing lap 32 of his race. So he's on the super soft, so that's yet another... Oh no, apologies. He might have been one of the ones who was out of sequence. I think he might have been that long yellow flag that we didn't have an explanation for.
That makes sense. I was going to say, yes, we had a yellow, didn't we? And we never saw a result of it. It must have been Zylander, because we did question why he was... why he looked out of position.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that sums it up as Zylander. I was just going to say, sorry, Hoskins has been confirmed at Franklin for next season.
Excellent. Well, it's going to be great to see one of the veterans of the Formula... Wow. One of the veterans of the Formula Virtual Grid remaining. Is that... I thought in the background that I saw Alar Kanga trying to go around the outside of that left-hand sweeper, and I thought that was going to end in tears.
It's not, but he's trying to go down the inside, and still not going to make that one work on Sergio Alvarez. Alvarez, who's going to be replacing him in that car next season. Obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Kanga's future yet to be decided, as we've got Alvarez pitting now. That would be both of the Phoenix's car. What is plural of Phoenix?
Phoenixes?
Phoenixes. That's the line straight out of Jeremy Shaw's playbook. I'll take that quite gladly. Sergio Alvarez also having an issue early on in the race, so unfortunately it would appear that both Phoenix cars have been around at the final corner.
And that's really disappointing for them. Having locked out the third row of the grid without checking, I'd say that's probably their best joint qualifying ever.
I think it's very hard to argue the point otherwise, to be honest.
In a session that, in fairness, was very similar to Germany earlier this year, where it was very much a case of last man over the line, with the exception of a stellar lap earlier in the session from Enrique Ruiz to take pole position. But this is going to be a real... And in fact, the two Phoenix cars now last and second to last. Zylander's just trying to correct that as Klaas van Snelheid looks to the inside of Thunder, but can't quite get that done at turn one. But yeah, this is a huge shame for Phoenix. They started 5th and 6th. They could have been on for some great points, and they needed it because their rivals around them, constructors, Ocelot and Ingram, look as though they're going to score fairly decent points here today, and Phoenix are gonna lose out quite considerably, you feel?
Yeah, this felt like a race where Phoenix were going to score a strong haul of points, and to be honest, with a bit of attrition at the front, we're in the fight for something like possibly a podium. So really disappointing to see them down there through no fault of the team, but unfortunately, as circumstances have gone on, the drivers seem to have been making a couple of errors. Looking at the front, it's been yo-yoing a little bit. Klaas van Snelheid getting to within 0.3 per second, falling back as far as 0.8, while Enrique Ruiz, similarly, almost as far back as 1.5 seconds at some points during this phase of the race. I think that Thunder at the moment just kind of controlling proceedings quite nicely.
Well, and not only this, but Klaas and Ruiz have to look at this. They saw how the first round of pit stops played out. They all pitted at the same time. And Thunder has the earliest pit box, which is going to play to his advantage. If they're going to get this done, barring an error from the Lucas pit crew, which we just don't really see errors from the pit crews here, they're going to have to do it on track. Or with an under or overcut.
Well, they're going to have to do it on track, but what they really need to do is do it on track early enough in the stint that they can then actually escape and make up that margin that will mean they can just come out ahead in the pit lane. But I just don't think that's going to happen.
No, absolutely not, as this is Adrian Simon looks as though he's been blocked in behind Johan Halverson here. Powers tries to go around the outside, but even then can't get it done.
Wow, I'll be honest with you, I thought briefly that was Van Snelheid and Ruiz, but I realised that actually, even 36 laps into this race, the lap traffic hasn't really played a factor, because obviously everybody's got such a good pace.
It hasn't, no, as speaking of good pace, That's evidenced by the fact that the man in 25th position, Sergio Alvarez, has just taken the fastest lap.
Excellent, that's what I like to see, a really close fought race throughout the field, and I think it's also...
Leaders pit, in they come then. Marcus Thunder, Klaas van Snelheid and Enrique Ruiz once again all on the same lap, so surely this is going to benefit Marcus Thunder. Oh, there's contact! Contact in the background, that's a Franklin! And I think that's contact with Thunder!
Oh, that's unbelievable!
He is, he's lost his front wing! Marcus Thunder, the race leader, has collided with a Franklin, exiting his pit box and lost his front wing, will have to pit again!
Oh, that is unbelievable. Behind it was Klaas van Snelheid, 3.3 second pit stop. That's probably one of the fastest we've seen all season, which means that van Snelheid's advantage over Enrique Ruiz grows.
Here we go, on board. Oh, and he just got released into the path of Addison, coming into the pits.
I've said before, the angle of entry and exit onto the working lane of the pit lane here, very oblique, very difficult to enter and exit. And we saw that Enrique Ruiz was stopped waiting on the first round of pit stops. And to be honest with you, it would appear that there was a reason that they were quite so cautious and willing to lose the time, because Marcus Thunder has, what a disaster for the Lucas team.
That is absolutely devastating for Thunder and Lucas then, who looked as though they were in absolute control here in Mexico. They were on for 2 wins in a row, but Marcus Thunder is now going to have to make an additional pit stop, and that's going to put him well down the order. And look how well it had worked. He'd come out ahead of Vazquez. Klaas van Snelheid and Enrique Ruiz are stuck behind the Colombian. They have to overtake him to get past.
Well, they have to overtake to get past. Thunder would have had the advantage, but will be in the pits, and indeed he is now. But more to the point for the race lead at the moment, Van Snelheid and Ruiz are behind Vazquez, and at the moment still have to do one more stop, but Van Snelheid is going to rectify that in his case right now.
Yeah, but I think Ruiz is going to have an attack as well. Vazquez slots in behind Van Snelheid. Ruiz is going to surely sweep around the outside. No, he's not. No. Vazquez was later on the brakes and holds the Brazilian behind.
Oh, that is unbelievable. Klaas van Snelheid doing everything he needs to do here to keep this championship going a little bit longer, although at the moment Powers in 8 looking rather ominous. But yeah, Van Snelheid and Ruiz, both of them need to make up some significant time. They've got one more pit stop to make, and at the moment they're only level with James Vazquez. So, and of course ahead of them is Felix Perez. So on home soil, can he right the wrongs of the last couple of races?
Well, absolutely. You know, Van Snelheid in a really good position now then with Thunder out the way. But let's not forget, he does have to catch and pass Perez if he's going to win this.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, he's going to have to catch and pass Perez twice as it stands, because he's not. I don't think he's going to get past and then make up that time before he pits.
I don't think Van Snelheid's going to have to pit again. Soft tyres have done their 2 stops.
Was that? Oh, apologies. I thought they. Yeah, no, you are absolutely right. So, as it stands, this is now pretty much a straight fight for the lead between Perez, Van Snelheid, Vazquez, and Ruiz.
Ryan not quite clear enough, unfortunately, as Ruiz looks to the inside of Vazquez, and the Colombian comes across in sort of stages to close him off, and Ruiz can't get that one done.
No, absolutely. Looking at Hunter Ryan, though, he's going to come out 10th or 9th, isn't he?
Yeah, but how many people in front of... So,
but then there's going to be an awful lot of
Powers
traffic.
have to pit again, as Ruiz now up the inside of James Vazquez, and surely that is move done. Indeed it is. Ruiz goes through into 4th, but he is now some 4 seconds behind Klaas van Snelheid.
Yeah, Ruiz really lost out there from Vazquez, but Van Snelheid making that decisive move on the brand new rubber to get past the Colombian driver, and he's now going to make the best of it. You would have thought he's going to have to get to Perez and overtake him, but I think he might just about, as long as Powers, who, don't forget, on the Super Soft will have to pit again, I believe.
Yep.
I don't know, I'm not going to say it. I think I've cursed enough drivers while I've been filling in for Lily. We'll see what happens.
Well, that's alright. I think you spread it around fairly evenly.
I think I've cursed my own driver at least twice, so I won't worry about it too much.
Although, mind you, since you've been commentating, Ruiz has done suspiciously well.
Well, what can I say? We've got Kanga pitting to give Powers the critical 7th position.
Absolutely. Obviously, he won't stay there because he's going to have to dive in himself. And Matsson's pitted. What tyre was Matsson on?
Matsson was in the race.
Well?
Super soft, sorry.
Ah, well, there we go. So yeah, Powers, as he did last stint, then has gone a lap longer than it seems most of the other super soft tyres. Hunter Ryan, you'd imagine, will be in as well at the end of this, and he's going to rejoin Hunter Ryan's going to rejoin, and that's going to be 6th, isn't it, by the time Powers is out the way?
No, absolutely. I'll say I made a flippant remark, but in all seriousness, while we've got James Vazquez right up there, who was in the fight for the race lead, you have to say, for most of this, Jean Matson, a whopping, 40-odd seconds off the lead? So,
yeah.
And what tyre was he on? Supers. So, to be honest with you, he's on the tyre that's leading this race at the moment until the pit stops happen. So, very disappointing, I have to say, from Jean Matson.
In fairness, again, though, look, we need to look at that. That Ingram has been a miserable car all season, as Hunter Ryan pits from the lead then for his final stop of the race, and we expect he will rejoin in 6th. But that Ingram's been fairly rubbish. Both Vazquez and Matson have found themselves in the bottom 6 in qualifying more often than not, as we see Powers in the background behind him then for his final stop as well. But yeah, Ingram have been nowhere. Matson has been behind Vazquez, as we say, again, more often than not. Ingram are only anywhere in the championship. They only have any points because we've seen random races like this, like in Australia, like in Germany, where suddenly the Vazquez and Ingram package just works incredibly and they're like top 5.
Yeah, no, that is a very good point, and I think it just highlights the quality of Vazquez, but also it's the leadership that he does appear to be bringing. Even though he's a relatively young driver, he seems to bring and galvanise that Ingram team into something that's greater than the sum of its parts quite often.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think I do think saying he's, and I'm not saying you did say you wiped the floor with Matson, but I think saying you've wiped the floor with Matson is probably doing Matson a bit of a disservice. I think it's been fortunate for Vazquez that the races that the Ingram has suddenly been good. He's pulled out a great qualifying. He's absolutely, Ingram have nailed the strategy for him. He's driven a brilliant race. But again, you've got to hand some credit to Vazquez because he's the driver that's done it. Matson hasn't on any of those occasions. Speaking
of the driver that's doing it, we now have Klaus van Snelheid less than a tenth of a second at one point on that straight in the slipstream of Felix Perez for the lead. So this could be the move that not only keeps the title alive, but gives Klaus van Snelheid race victory if he can manage it. So this is going to be fascinating. And of course, with Perez on the medium tyre, every lap that van Snelheid can't get past, it brings Ruiz further into contention for the race lead with only about 10 laps to go.
It absolutely does. And you say it could keep the title open. It absolutely could. Nathaniel Powers, after his pit stop, has rejoined in 14th position. He's only made a net 2 places from where he qualified.
Yeah, and looking at it, he's going to have to make up 10 seconds if he's going to get to that magic 7th position, and that is completely ignoring the fact that as well as it's at 10 seconds, there are 6 cars he actually has to overtake. So I think that this is game on.
Yeah, this suddenly looks an incredibly tall order for Nathaniel Powers to win the title here today. What looked as though it was signed, sealed and delivered before the race.
He was going to do it at Cantor. Everybody said that, but I've said that for the last 3 rounds.
Absolutely, but suddenly it's open as Klaus van Snelheid in the slipstream of Perez pulls out. He's got the inside line. He's got the lead here in Mexico. Perez is going to try and come back at him, but he's surely not going to have the tyres, is he? Klaus van Snelheid holds it. Perez cannot keep the traction, and van Snelheid is through into the lead. The Dutchman, who's won just 1 race this year. That was the 2nd round in Malaysia. He needed to win here to keep his championship hopes alive, and now 10 laps from the end, he is in that position with Nathaniel Powers, his teammate, not even in the points.
He's in the lead. He's got Felix Perez behind on a tyre that is 1 step harder. He is holding up the only other soft-tyred runner in contention at the moment. Every lap that passes, van Snelheid is getting a little bit closer to keeping this one alive. But as you say, Nathaniel Powers barely even a factor in this race, I'd say so far, and now that lead almost to just over 1.5 seconds there for van Snelheid. It's going to be nearly 2 by the time this lap is over, because the tight twisty section of that stadium section at the end of the lap really not suiting the medium tyre of Felix Perez, and Ruiz behind just doesn't have an answer.
Absolutely. Just on Powers, he's now up into 12th then. He will gain 2 more positions yet before the end of the race, won't he? Because Simon, who actually
right on cue.
Beautiful. Simon pits now then for his off-schedule pit stop, and I think Alvarez is off off kilter as well, so we'll also have to stop.
I don't know how close Alvarez will get to the end without having to, though.
Oh, Ruiz pulls out late on Felix
He's not going to
Perez
manage
then.
it, though.
No, I don't think he will. I think Perez will crowd him out, and indeed he does. Perez holds on to second place, and Klaas van Snelheid is now 3 seconds clear up front, and this is not helping Ruiz whatsoever.
Absolutely. Obviously, we've got Van Snelheid in position to keep this one alive. Another race longer with Powers only in 11th, and as you say, which will become 10th, giving him one more crucial point to make that next race just that little bit easier. But everybody is more interested in second place. Come on, Bradley. Ruiz right now, if he gets second, fair enough, but third place here is not too bad when you've got Farini in 7th and both of the Lopez's out of the points. So,
leave it with me. I'll work it out for you. Cover the race.
Thank you very much. I tell you what, we've got 7 laps to go. When I have nothing more to say, I'm going to do a rundown of the leaders until we have something happening on the track. So we've got Klaas van Snelheid in the lead now by a whopping 3.4 seconds ahead of the first of Felix Perez on the medium tyres. We've got Enrique Ruiz in the Porsche, only 0.2 of a second further back than that on the final podium position, and on the soft tyre hoping to make a move. James Vazquez on the mediums, 5.8 seconds further back. An absolutely brilliant performance from the Ingram driver, with Hunter Ryan in 5th for Ocelot as well.
Oh.
And on track we now have Hoskins and Farini 6th and 7th, battling each other hard. I think Hoskins actually, when I have said that he's down and out on this one, he's managed to get all the way back up to 6th, which is a pretty solid result for the Brits, beating out his, at the moment at least, Danilo Farini, who might well be his teammate at Franklin next year. Puccio Giordano in 8th with Sergio Alvarez 9th. The final point at the moment is Marcus Thunder, but we think he's going to be promoted once Alvarez makes his final pit stop, having spun early on in the final corner, while Nathaniel Powers in 11th will become the top 10, the final driver in the top 10, we think. But at the moment, as it stands, Klaas van Snelheid will keep that title fight going one more race.
Beautiful. As it stands, if it were to finish like this, Mathishaw would be 64 points clear of Franklin in second place, and so would secure that second place in the Constructors' Championship after obviously the title was wrapped up at the last round.
Wow.
We would have second secured. And that, quite remarkable, in a fight that just a couple of races ago was completely open between 3 teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's still a lot of time for Enrique Ruiz to decide he wants to be well acquainted with the gearbox of Perez, but I won't say anything further about that. So Hoskins and Farini, though, providing the best battle on the track at the moment, aren't they?
They
and
certainly
Thierry
are.
Zylander making another pit stop for wherever he's going to end up.
Yeah, not only that, but Hunter Ryan and James Vazquez are wheel to wheel. We're not seeing it. We're on board with Nathaniel Powers as he looks to fight his way into the points, but Hunter Ryan has gone up into 4th position, past James Vazquez. Oh, he's got 7 seconds to make up on Perez. That's probably quite an ask, but he is on the super softs compared to some mediums.
It's a hell of a drive if he manages it. But
it's already 6.5.
Good God. Playing 3 or 4 corners that must have been. He's made up a second. That is incredible. Hunter Ryan's not out of this one for a podium yet, is he?
No, Hunter Ryan has suddenly smelt blood, hasn't he? And Hunter Ryan is absolutely flying as it stands. But yeah, as we are following Nathaniel Powers currently, say in that 11th position, just outside of the points, just behind former teammate Marcus Thunder, the man who, he really should have won this one. Just on that incident, actually, we never covered it at the time, but Addison ended up retiring.
Yes, I forgot to mention that when I saw it last time. So we've got Alvarez now in the pits.
Yeah, Alvarez pits, and that does indeed promote Powers into the top 10. He's now trying to attack former teammate Thunder. Looks to the outside of turn 1. He has got the softer compound tyre, but Thunder's going to be keen to sort of hold on to every point he can muster here after that unfortunate incident that cost him the race win in the pit lane.
Almost definitely. So how far is Thunder off the net race lead? About 23, 24 seconds, which, if you count it back, is pretty much exactly what he would have lost as a result of having to change his front wing with an extra stop.
Probably closer to 30.
Well,
we've got an 11-second gap, a 5, a 6, and a 3 at least.
Absolutely.
As we've just seemed to have lost the timing screen.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to go old school with this one and just commentate on what we can see.
Indeed. And what we can see is Klaas van Snelheid leading the race. Has he still got Felix Perez behind him, or is it Enrique Ruiz? Ruiz is pulling out.
Ooh, it looks side by side there.
It did. They did look as though They were going wheel to wheel down the start-finish straight, but we are following the race leader then.
And the race leader is going too quickly for us to see. There we go. It is Felix Perez remaining ahead of Enrique Ruiz then.
This is a great defence from Perez.
Oh, Perez has been driving absolutely fantastically all
Ruiz
season.
up the inside now then. Surely, once again, Perez will force him to the outside, crowd him out, and Ruiz won't be able to get that done. Indeed, no, he can't. Ruiz keeps attempting the same kind of overtake. He needs to try something different. He needs to catch Perez out.
Yeah, Perez has Ruiz all figured out here, doesn't he?
And that was Ryan in the background. That was Hunter Ryan in the background. We can't see the timing screens. I don't know how much he's closing, but it does look as though he's narrowing that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. Powers here behind the other ocelot of Puccio Giordano by the look of it.
So that must mean Thunder's gone past Giordano. So Thunder's up into 8th. So this is now looking at 9th place then for Nathaniel Powers. That's where he's aiming.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. We've got timing screens back. I was lost there for a moment.
Yeah, so Powers in 10th is behind Puccio Giordano 9th.
Yes.
Giordano's on the mediums, Powers on the super softs. So you expect he'll manage that in 5 laps. Oh, someone locks up in front. I think that was Farini behind Hoskins.
With 5 laps to go, do we think that 3 positions is possible? Because it's only 3 seconds to get to 7th for Powers.
And Hoskins is on the mediums as well. So there's definitely the opportunity as Farini pulls out on Will Hoskins then. Danilo Farini going to go past surely into 6th position. And indeed he does. He's through before the corner behind Powers on the outside of Puccio Giordano. It's not the best position, but he's going to have the traction. But no, he can't get it done. Giordano positions the car beautifully. Powers now has Adrian Simon coming back at him as well. So he's going to have to look in the mirrors as he's attacking Giordano or get this move done as soon as he can. Is he going to pull out late here? He is. Will he get this done though? Because he's going to put himself on the outside. If he can keep the car ahead, and I think he might just about do it. Nathaniel Powers on the outside of Giordano goes through into 9th. Can Simon take advantage? It doesn't look like it.
So there we go. It's only 2 more positions to go. And as you say, Hoskins on that medium tyre. We've seen Thunder trapped behind Hoskins a little while earlier on in this race. So it's not over yet. But in terms of what Klaas van Snelheid can do, already 8.5 seconds in the lead. I think...
Not only that, look at the gap between Ruiz and Ryan. It's 3 seconds. Ryan is coming at a rate of knots.
Good grief. Hunter Ryan absolutely with the bit between his teeth here. Going to go all out to get that podium. 3 seconds in 3 laps with that tyre differential. I think it's entirely possible.
It certainly is. Hunter Ryan absolutely flying along at the moment then as Adrian Simon goes past Puccio Giordano and he's up into 10th position. This is Marcus Thunder all over the back of Will Hoskins. Thunder trying to recover more positions, and I thought he was just going to sweep around the outside there. But no, Hoskins positioned the car and Thunder couldn't quite get the move done.
Absolutely good defence from Hoskins there, starting on the left-hand side of the pit straight, moving his way with one decisive move, absolutely fair, over to the right-hand side to block Marcus Thunder from making that move down the inside, make it difficult for the Brits. Well, 2 Brits fighting each other, of course, for supremacy, being the best Brits on the grid today, with Nathaniel Powers behind. That's a hell of a trio of British drivers there, 8th, 9th and 10th, but as it 7th, 8th and 9th, but as it stands, I think Hoskins is going to win out.
Yeah, which isn't something we've said much this season, nor is the fact that Powers is the 3rd of 3 Brits.
It's a very good point.
In fact, is he? Yeah, they are the only 3 Brits on the grid, aren't they?
I believe so.
Powers is last of the British drivers. That's not something we expect.
On the inside, going into turn 1, down the straight. I think he might have made it all by the time they've got to... Wow.
I think he will. Perez is going to try and come back at him on the outside line, but Ruiz will have the outside of turn 2, which we've seen has taken positions, and indeed he does. Ruiz goes through into 2nd, and I tell you who that helps, and that's Hunter Ryan, because Ryan will now have his super softs just against the mediums of Perez. He won't have Ruiz in between to interfere.
Wow, that was... I don't know whether... I'm assuming there that Felix Perez had a bit of an issue coming off the final corner, because I don't think we've seen all race that there has been a car that's been able to slipstream and get past before the turn 1 apex even. So Ruiz up to 2nd. But as you say, I think Hunter Ryan in with a great shout now. He's got a much bigger tyre differential to Felix Perez, so let's see whether he can get that podium.
Not only that, in with a great shout, look at this. Nathaniel Powers in 9th place, on the back of Marcus Thunder, on the back of Will Hoskins. If he can get both of these drivers, that's the 7th place he needs for the championship, regardless of the fact that Klaas van Snelheid looks set to win this race. He does only have just over 2 laps to do it though.
Yeah, it's going to be touch and go. But don't forget, late moves in the race we've seen before on various occasions. Powers might not even need to be the one that makes the move. If Thunder and Hoskins make contact, he's going to get promoted by default, and that's going to get him the championship.
Absolutely. Hunter Ryan now less than a second behind Felix Perez. Hunter Ryan is surely in with a fantastic shout of his maiden podium.
Oh, this is absolutely unbelievable. We don't really know where to look at the moment. We've got the
on board with Powers.
Fight.
Yeah, Hoskins covers the inside line. Thunder's gone with him. Can see Powers sweep around the outside. Sorry, he can't. There's contact between Thunder and Hoskins, but they all managed to keep it on the track.
Absolutely.
Powers will be praying.
Thunder there, locked up all four wheels, it looked like. Just about managed to get it stopped without wiping out everybody. Going to make another move here. Oh, Powers can see.
I don't think he's got the nose ahead. Yeah, Hoskins. Hoskins crowds him out then. Thunder, Hoskins, Thunder, Powers sit 7th, 8th and 9th still. Powers attacking now Marcus Thunder. Thunder having to cover the inside line. We've got Ryan on the back, surely, of Felix Perez up front. The gap's like 4/10 of a second. There are battles all over the place as the race leader, Klaas van Snelheid, enters the final lap. But look at this. Thunder was on the inside, he's covering Powers. Simon now trying to go around the outside. He can't make that done. Powers can't make the move. It's status quo.
Oh, all that and nothing's changed, but that is absolute. Oh.
What it does mean though, look at the gap that Hoskins is pulled. Surely Powers isn't going to do that now.
No, I think that battling there from Powers and Thunder has put paid to any hopes of him securing the title this time without significant drama on the final lap. But wow, on the other hand, absolute misery for Powers on one side of the Downton garage. But you must be pretty pleased with the other side.
Wow. Yeah, Klaas van Snelheid. I mean, this is what we've been hoping to kind of see from him all season, really, isn't it? He managed it in Malaysia and then has had a fairly rough year. He's had probably the lion's share of duff strategies from Downton, but when it mattered, Klaas van Snelheid has driven phenomenally. It took an incident in the pit lane for Marcus Thunder, but he was in the battle anyway. But Klaas van Snelheid, completely unexpectedly, rounds the final corner. He wins in Mexico and surely, as a result, will take the championship fight to Brazil. It's a really, really long shot, but importantly for Klaas, he's still in with a shot. Enrique Ruiz crosses the line, second place. Felix Perez does hold on. It's a home podium for Perez then, instead of a maiden podium for Hunter Ryan. Couldn't quite get that done. James Vazquez, a brilliant 5th position. What's going to happen behind them? We're still watching the tail end of the points. It's Farini in 6th. Hoskins, I think. Yeah, Hoskins holds on. It's 7th for him. Thunder 8th. Powers 9th. So the championship, quite remarkably, is not decided here today in Mexico. A Klaas van Snelheid victory. Powers only 9th. We go to a title decider.
What an incredible race from Klaas van Snelheid. He takes the win, and to be honest, he takes my driver of the day vote absolutely hands down. He's done everything he needs to do. You say he's got a slim chance, but I said he had no chance 4 races ago, and he's proved me wrong 4 races in a row. Can he do it one more time?
Unbelievable drive then from Klaas van Snelheid. Your heart has to go out to Thunder. Marcus Thunder looked, and obviously Lucas, they looked to be in a brilliant position, but Klaas van Snelheid put his car where it mattered and took advantage, and Klaas van Snelheid returns to the pits to start the celebrations and the podium. Here come the drivers out onto the podium then. In 3rd place for First Motorsport, it's a hugely popular home podium. Felix Perez! In 2nd place for Coca-Cola, Porsche Team Mathishaw, with his 3rd podium in 4 races, Enrique Ruiz. And onto the top step then for the Downton FB team to somehow keep this championship alive. His 2nd win of the season, Klaas van Snelheid. And in his honour, the Dutch national anthem. we have it then. It's Klaas van Snelheid on the top step to extend this championship to a title decider, with Nathaniel Powers only finishing down in 9th. Enrique Ruiz and Felix Perez completing the podium ahead of some brilliant drives from Hunter Ryan and James Vazquez. Farini and Hoskins also picking up big points. Sergio Alvarez, unfortunately one who didn't. Neither Phoenix had a brilliant race, both involved in incidents, but Alvarez did take his first ever fastest lap, although as has become the case recently, that will be scant consolation. Nick Addison, the only retirement after that collision with Marcus Thunder that cost the Lucas driver a likely win. In the Drivers' Championship then, well, Powers leads. It's 22 points over Klaas van Snelheid, so van Snelheid will need to win again in Brazil if he's to have any chance. It's looking still very, very good for Nathaniel Powers. Danilo Farini moves back up into 5th in the championship as Perez moves back ahead of Thunderstrom. Hunter Ryan with that fantastic 4th place. He was oh so near to a maiden podium. He's moved ahead of Thierry Zylander, and further down Brock Hidd has gone up into 25th in the championship ahead of Xander Benilton. Not many changes as we approach the tail end of the championship. And in the constructors, it was confirmed last race the Downton champions. Now confirmed this time around that Mattershall Porsche have finished second. Franklin have moved ahead of Lopez for 3rd place, and they have a 7-point advantage now over their rivals, as Ingram, with that brilliant result for Vazquez, demote Phoenix to 9th. But that's all from our race here today in Mexico. So from both me and Rob, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time for the title decider, round 16 from Sao Paulo, Brazil.